My name's Scott Oliver, and I'm with Living Passages. And this morning, we visited a place that not many people visit on any tours in the past, I'm told. It's a rare place. We're in Genesis, it talks about a Mount Sheer, but really we're finding that it's a mountain range. And we find in Genesis that they had been circling this whole area, this whole mountain range of Sheer. And here we're talking about Moses, and this is after they left Mount Sinai and they're wandering. And this is the point where God says, stop circling, and they move on. So we're in an area where they were circling, but backing up in history. We found also there have been discoveries, and if we look at scripture and place names, we find this is also a very, very important place for Abraham. It's interesting how God sends people to the same place multiple times, and that place is also teaching us something. So it's a very, very important place in Jordan that many people, I think to this point, I know I haven't until we visited here, realized how important this really is. Because we visited a well, and it was the reason we're not there is because we were overcome by goats who wanted water. So it's still an active well. Just a few moments ago, Israel, to go and save Lot, his nephew. So this is the place where that happened. You got the men of Israel together. They went out, and sometimes called the war with the kings that we find in Genesis. So that started, the importance of this well in this area. And then we find also, remember again, Abraham, Sarah, and the story of Hagar. And when Hagar ran away from Sarah, we find this encounter between Hagar and God. And this is a well, that this happened around this area where the well is. And remember, the interesting thing is, when Hagar had left with Ishmael, God met her there in the well, we're told in Scripture, and God promised her a blessing. Told her to go back to Sarah, but she would have a blessing. And we know that blessing were 12 tribes. Again, Ishmael had 12 tribes as well, 12 children, which were 12 tribes there. But at that point, when Hagar met God, she praised God with a phrase that's really, really important. The phrase in Hebrew literally was Kai in El Kai Beer-Lahai-Roi. And we kind of compared the Hebrew with the Arabic language with our tour guide, and we kind of came up with the phrase, and it's very similar to the Hebrew meaning of life, Kai, in El, in God, and then Kai again, life. Beer is beer in Hebrew as well as in Arabic. Lahai can kind of mean two things, but it's the water of joy, or the water used from the well to water things. So amazing. So Kai, it's life of God, and life is, interestingly enough, is mentioned again. And remember, in Hebrew, when anything is mentioned 2 or 3 times, God's saying, pay attention to this. This is important. And we find here that, we mentioned 2 incidents already, but we find here that this is important because 3 events that we know of happened here. And God is cyclic. He goes over and over again. So we find that also when Eliezer was sent by Abraham to find Isaac a wife, this was the area again where Rebecca on the donkey approached and asked, who is that person in the field meditating and praying? Of course, it was Isaac. And when she was told it was Isaac, she covered her face and approached him. So this is the place where you have the meeting between Rebekah and Isaac. So think about it, the joy of the water. He won the war with the kings. He saved Lot. It's joy, right? Praise. Isaac met Rebekah. Wedding, joy, praise. So many things are happening in this particular one place. Hagar was sad, she had been ousted. When in that day, when a husband wasn't there and a woman was out on her own with a child, it's frightening. That's scary. There's no support. God was going to support her. Joy. So we get the water of joy coming from this well, and we saw it. We all started going crazy and videoing all these goats. We had a whole herd of goats infiltrate, and they were watering at this well. And it's almost like God planned it for us.